Yeah, it's been a while. Hello everybody, I'm Miss MonMon. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, great. Hi, I'm Mon. Nice to meet you. I think it's been about 8 months since I posted last. It has been an absolute roller coaster of personal dramas, which I really don't want to get into right now because it's not the time or the place. But I'm trying to be back and filming. I'm going to aim for 2 videos a month, maybe 3, until I sort of get my feet on the ground a little bit more. But a lot's happened. But I really want to come back because I really missed all of you and doing this, so we will see how we go. There was absolutely no way that I was going to miss the season 3 premiere of Bridgerton, which comes out in just a few days, so I wanted to sew another dress. For season 2, we sewed a stunning light blue dress inspired by the Bridgerton house, and I had so much fun doing it. But for season 3, I wanted to sew something for the Featherington family. With Penelope's colour being yellow and of course the Bridgerton colour being blue, I wanted to make something that was a really stunning shade of green to show Penelope's love development throughout what's going to be season 3. Let's start with chatting about our pattern that we're going to use. Last time we used this, which is Bodice 6074, and it was a really great pattern to use. It had a fully gathered empire bust, but the only thing I didn't like about it was that I just couldn't figure out what the instructions wanted me to do about the back. I had a little bit of an open back situation in some poses, so I wanted to try another pattern and also give you guys a spectrum of Empire Waist Regency era-esque sewing patterns. After much deliberation, mainly between myself and the cat, between using the original Bodice pattern that we used for the 2nd season premiere or something new, I actually decided to go with something completely new. This is Simplicity 9434, and it is a pattern inspired by the 1st season of Bridgerton. This is a costume pattern. This is not a historical pattern. This is a simplified version of what a Regency era dress would be, made for a modern person. There are zips, there is elastic. This is not where you want to go for historical accuracy. The reason I chose this pattern is because I just wanted to try another Regency era pattern or Regency era inspired pattern, and with this pattern being quite readily available, I wanted to make sure people knew what it was like to sew and what it would look like in case they wanted to do this one on their own and were also daunted by the original Bodice pattern. So we are going to be using this pattern. Okay, fabric. One of my last sewing videos, or it probably is my last sewing video, was me making a 1950s cupcake prom dress where I used this beautiful sage green soft satin fabric. I am still in love with that fabric, and so I decided to use it again. I have about 4 meters of this fabric, which is just, and this is going to be my under fabric because part of the Bridgerton charm, even though it's not overly historically accurate, are the lovely tulle and embroidered over fabrics, which I love. Let's go on a journey of discovery together. Whilst shopping at Homecraft Textiles for my sage green satin, I wanted to check out their range of tulles. They had an amazing range, and eventually I narrowed it down to the one I ended up choosing. It was completely over budget. I was not planning to spend nearly this much, but I just couldn't resist. So I ended up getting 3.5 meters of a sage green tulle. This is the tulle I chose, and it is a border print tulle, meaning the bottom is heavier with pattern than the top, which peters out. It's so pretty, and I am so excited to smack it all together. So Let's just start sewing and see what happens. The first thing I did, of course, was cut out my pattern pieces. I began with my satin under layer and cut everything out exactly as it was supposed to be. I made my skirt layers a couple of inches longer because I am quite tall and I wanted the skirt to touch the floor and not awkwardly hover around my ankles. I then started tweaking the tulle. Because I had X amount of tulle that I needed, I didn't want to waste how much money I spent on it. So I made sure to cut my pieces a little bit longer for the skirt so that I can later on, when it comes time, gather it, because I just wanted to use as much of the tulle as possible. I tried to arrange my tulle pieces for the bodice as logically as possible to make sure that nothing was over embellished and there wasn't any awkward flower placement, and I'm pretty happy with where I landed. This pattern also required lining, so I got this old fitted sheet which I have been slowly attacking over the last couple of months and used that for lining. With everything cut out, it was time to head to the sewing machine. Before I started any bodice assembly, I made sure to baste my tulle embroidered layer on top of my satin pieces for the bodice. So when I sewed them, they were completely just one piece. This didn't take too long and it's a step I definitely recommend. If you are using a more slippery fabric, you can hand baste it, but I found that by using a large stitch on my machine I was fine, as neither the tulle or the satin were too slippery. Putting my bodice together actually came about really quick and simple, and I only did it in a matter of minutes. I started with the front bodice piece and attached the two side pieces. I took my time sewing over the embroidery and even had to cut out a few of the chunkier embroidery sections. With the sides attached, I then attached the back of the bodice panel and then attached the shoulder seams. I then did the exact same steps with the lining, which didn't take me long at all, before I was able to pin the lining to the bodice and sew the whole bodice completely together. So I have my bodice almost put together and I'm at the gathering part, so there'll be a little gather under the bust, and I'm noticing that in those gather points there is a lot of embroidery and it's part of the embroidered flowers, which are very thick, and it's not gathering very smoothly. So would it be okay if I just put in maybe like some small darts or pin my own gathers? It's just not going to work any other way because those flowers, they are thick with two C's. So we're just going to go with darts. I ended up omitting the gathers and just sewing in a little pleat tuck. My bodice was done except for the sleeves, but we will return to the sleeves later. Let's move on to the skirt. Because I had cut my tulle layer a little bit wider than the pattern wanted to use up as much tulle as possible, I decided to sew the satin layers all together, which were just really long straight seams. The front was connected to the side, which was connected to the back, and then I made sure to overlock my edges to keep them nice and smooth and sturdy. Once that was done, I moved it aside and then moved on to my tulle layer. Because tulle is see-through, I had to remember how to use French seams, and then I realized the last time I actually sewed French seams was my last Bridgerton attempt, so it was really nice to come back to the skill and give it another go. French seams are the go-to seam for fabrics such as this, as although you can still see the seam, they are really neatly encased inside the dress and they're not hideous, basically. When I was done, I was left with my skirt in two pieces and it was now time to combine it together. I took my time when it came to attaching my tulle skirt to my satin. I decided, after a little bit of jiggery pokery, I ended up gathering just the tulle layer by adding little pleats to sort of bring the pattern in a little bit. and then I basted those pleats in before attaching it to my skirt. I decided to use, in the end, the dental floss gathering method, which is basically sewing a zigzag stitch over the top of a piece of dental floss along the top waist section of my skirt. And once that's done, you can just push your fabric along the floss and it creates really simple gathers which you can adjust. It's honestly my favorite method to gather a skirt. It's so quick and easy. When it came time to attach my skirt, which has the gather stitch at the top, to my bodice, I took my time, and according to the pattern, it wanted to keep the front as ungathered as possible, with most of the gathering starting out from the sides to the back. I stayed true to this even though I had the pleating, and I'm really happy with how it came out. At this point, we have the bodice attached to a skirt, and we are now down to the final few steps. Let's add some sleeves. Originally, I was going to add the satin to the sleeves, but I really liked how it looked with just the tulle. It sort of gave it a soft, romantic elegance. I French seamed my sleeves together, and fun fact, I accidentally did one of them backwards. The seam is on the outside, so try to keep an eye on what you're doing, because I only realized this until much later on and it was too late. The final things I had left were adding a zip. From Homecraft Textiles, I bought a long invisible zip. Although it's not the perfect color match, it is a very close gray tone, and that went in surprisingly easy. So I think I might be getting better at my invisible zips, but just you wait, this zip comes back to bite me in the bottom. Just you wait, kids. With my zip installed, the last thing I had to do was hem the bottom of my skirt, especially the satin layer. With the tulle, because it already had a beautiful embroidered edge, I didn't worry about hemming that and just left it as is. With this being done, my dress was ready and it's time for the reveal. Are you ready for my dress reveal? But wait, there's drama.
So we are just about to start shooting. One pose in. Oh yeah, that's a broken zip. I am now trapped in this dress as is. So in all the shots there will be a broken zip, but we're going to keep going. Everyone be nice in the comments and tell me that my Pokemon underwear is adorable, and go.
I have no idea what actually happened to my zip. It just split, and where the split had gone, I couldn't get the zip down. I was for all intents and purposes trapped in my dress and just had to go with it. I had no time to fix it before I wanted to put this video out, but I also was just determined to leave it as is, because I don't ever pretend that everything goes perfectly in my world, because it just doesn't. All up, I think my Featherington gown for Penelope turned out really great. I love the sage green tones. I love the elegance of it. One downside with this pattern for me personally is that I think my bosoms were a little bit too big for the pattern. So I had a little bit of pancake boobing happening, which is not overly flattering. So please keep that in mind if you are sewing this pattern and have huge Poporcelain. If you get that reference, 5 points. I am overall so happy with how this dress turned out. Even though the pattern is not historically accurate, I think it is a great substitute for anyone needing to go to a Bridgerton event or even a fantasy ball event. Anything with a Regency era vibe, this pattern is great. It was really simple and straightforward, and I think with a little bit of clever tweaking, you can make some amazing garments. I would recommend double checking your bust size compared to the pattern, but also check the length of your skirt, as I'm so glad I extended mine, because I think it would have been way too short and I would have been so upset because there's no way I can fix that. I am so happy that I got to do another Regency era gown, especially for Penelope. I think the Featheringtons get a bit of a bad rap in terms of their style, but I'm so glad that I got to do something in this gorgeous sage green color, and with my new orange hair, it was just a perfect match. This dress was a lot of fun and a great project to sort of come back into the filming realm with. I have no idea when my next video will be coming out. I'm hoping in the next 2 weeks, but we will see how we go. In saying that, I am still super active over on my blog, and of course this whole sewing process will be found there. You can find it in the description box below. I will have links to the pattern, to the fabric, and so many close-up photos of this dress. I'm really excited to share that with you as well. You can also find me on any of my social media. Even though I haven't posted on Instagram in almost a year, I'm oddly terrified to come back, but I am working on that. I hope to become more active over there, as I really miss interacting with everybody and seeing what everybody is up to, but I just needed a break for my own mental clarity. That is all I have time for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me in the big return of hopefully my channel getting back to normal. I have really missed everybody and seeing all your comments come in. Thank you to all those who have reached out during my break to make sure I'm okay. I've tried to respond to as many of you, but I really did switch off all social media. I will be back in the next week or two with another video, hopefully. But until then, be kind, be true, be you. I hope you all have a beautiful week and enjoy season 3 of Bridgerton coming out. I know I'll be watching it with friends and I cannot wait. I will see you guys later. Bye! I am this close to painting my sewing room green. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna paint my sewing room green. But you just painted it pink, I know.